What's up? I'm AJ, and welcome back to Gen Z Garage.
Why, hello there. I am your host, AJ, of this brand new episode of Gen Z Garage, the riveting channel in which I shall today be continuing the Corvette, C4 Corvette engine restoration. Here is what we shall be doing.
In our previous video, we began the teardown and cleanup of the engine bay. The link to that video will be at the top right of the screen. In this video, we will be replacing the timing chain and nylon gears, removing and repairing the exhaust manifolds, painting the engine in GM Corporate Blue, installing a new harmonic balancer, installing a brand new water pump, installing a new AC condenser, reinstalling the radiator, shroud and fan, repairing the entire electrical system plus fusible links, reinstalling the modified exhaust manifolds, replacing the spark plugs, removing the TBI units for later rebuilding, and finally, removing the intake manifold for cleaning and porting. I start by removing the timing cover. Dropped it. I plan on replacing the chain and the nylon gear, so I remove the bolts and pop off the cam gear. I keep the stock crank gear, but replace the cam and timing chain with OEM design quality replacements from Cloys. I then reinstall and tighten down the 3 cam sprocket bolts, and then torque them down to 20 foot-pounds. It's important to remember that when replacing either sprocket or as a set, the indicators on each gear must line up as shown in the picture. If you're digging into the timing cover, it's highly recommended you replace the old cam gear. These gears have nylon-coated teeth which start to crack after only a few years and can lead to engine timing failure. It's always advisable too that if you're in this far, to replace the timing chain as they also stretch and can affect optimal valve and engine timing. Before reinstalling the timing cover, I lightly sanded and painted the cover, installed in a new crank seal, and glued a new Felpro seal using a coating of RTV sealant and some clamps. Once dry, I begin applying more RTV sealant on the other side where it mates to the engine block. Make sure to add extra RTV sealer to the corners just above where it meets with the oil pan. This is a common leak point on the small block Chevy. With the pan ready, I install it back onto the engine block. There are 2 pins that protrude from the engine that help to hold it in place. Keep in mind, you may need to unbolt the oil pan slightly in the front to allow for the pan to properly reinstall. With the pan set in place, I begin reinstalling all of the timing cover screws. I then torque them down to 8 foot-pounds. Next, I remove all of the old spark plugs from the engine. I plan to remove the exhaust manifolds next, and it's easier with the plugs already out. Then I remove all of the exhaust manifold bolts. With that, I can then lift the manifold off the header pipe and away from the engine. I then reinstall the old plugs hand-tightened to help prevent bugs or dirt from getting into the combustion chamber. We'll just ignore the fact that I have open exhaust ports. After some more degreasing and an hour or so of dry time, I begin masking off the engine bay so that I can paint the engine block. You'll notice that we swapped out the valve covers with a spare set we got from Corvette Generations. We plan to reuse the originals, but we'll clean them up and repaint them first. I hit the engine with some high-temp metal etching engine primer first. I wait 30 minutes and then go over it with GM Corporate Blue Engine Enamel by Seymour. I let that set for about 10 minutes and then begin removing the masking paper. I now turn my attention to the harmonic balancer. The old balancer isolation rubber was cracked and peeling, and the balancer donut had already started to slip and separate from the hub. I went with a new balancer from Dorman. But first, I put a little bit of assembly lube onto the crank to ease the installation. I then press the balancer on as far as I can with my bare hands.
There's gotta be a more efficient way to do this than just batting.
I then use a socket wrench with a balancer installation tool to carefully reinstall the balancer. Finally, I reinstall the freshly painted crank pulley. Make sure to use blue Loctite on the threads and torque them to 25 foot-pounds. An interesting tidbit I noticed. These crank pulleys were also used in the V8s that General Motors sold to AMC, as you can see by the arrow. Next, in goes my brand new AC condenser.
Boom! Into the slot. Boom! Into the other slot. Kabow! I just did that.
The old condenser could have been reused, but replacement ones are so inexpensive it just wasn't worth the time and effort to clean and flush the old one. Next, I reinstall the original radiator, which I've already cleaned and flushed.